Welcome to the Page by Page Book Club. I'm your host, Paige in Print, and I bring you weekly book club meetings wherever you get your podcasts. Last week we talked about all of my favorite FMCs, and so it is time to discuss the girls. Yes, today's episode is all about my favorite FMCs, and I want to start this episode by saying I love being a girl's girl. There is nothing more powerful, in my opinion, than women lifting up other women. And so today's episode, I'm going to be chatting with you about my favorite FMCs of all time. Last week, we kind of grouped the MMCs by personality type, but this week we're going to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to talk about my favorite FMCs and what I admire most about each of them. The lessons that they taught me, the things I love most about them, the things about them that I see in myself, all of that good stuff. So that's the plan. I think we just dive in. I don't think the girls need any more introduction. So we're going to start with Molly Luck from Cash by Jessica Peterson. Molly was the Page and Print 2024 FMC of the year, and I absolutely, completely, and utterly adore her character. And what I love most about Molly is that she defied the expectations that people placed on her. Expectations that were far from high, and the assumptions people made about her because of where she came from, how she acted, how she dressed. And she kept her head down and worked her butt off, not to prove people wrong necessarily, but to achieve and chase her dreams. And in the process of that, proving people wrong. I love it. That inspires me so much. I relate to her character so much, at risk of being vulnerable and maybe assumptions about my work ethic or the way I'll show up in the world. And what she did that I loved, and as I mentioned before, is she was not working to prove someone wrong. Like, she almost didn't even let people's assumptions about her dictate her behavior. She's like, no, this is what I'm doing. I do it well, and I'm going to get it done. Man, I relate to that. Like, as a bookstagrammer, people having opinions on my online presence from my real life, this was inspiring to me. If you don't know, Molly is a city girl who inherits her dad's ranch that had been promised to the ranch's foreman, Cash. And the contingency of her inheriting this ranch and the additional money that was left in the will was that she had to live on and run the ranch for a year in order to obtain her inheritance. And so she does, and it makes for a really good hate to love scenario between Cash, the foreman, and Molly, our FMC. She continues to run her business and the ranch during this time, and really does not let Cash's stereotype of her being a city girl affect her that deeply. Proves him wrong by just being herself, and he falls for her. I don't blame him. I don't blame him one bit. That is why I love her. That is why she held my top FMC spot. Continuing on from Molly, I would love to talk about Eden Abbott from Whistleblower by Kay Cove. Eden is a whistleblower for a large tech company, but her specialty is in human behavior, human operations, interactions in the workplace. But she's essentially offered this HR role in an organization called Paladin. Paladin is a group of quasi-government agency assassins that eliminate evil people from this world. They find, mark, and eliminate the worst of the worst humans. Eden is extremely squeamish and gentle and soft and hates violence, hates weapons, hates anything having to do with this organization and what they do. She's against it. What I love most about Eden is that she is a prime example of you can be strong and gentle. Strength does not mean a comfortability with violence or aggressiveness. She was very soft, gentle, and did not sacrifice that and did not lose that despite being surrounded in a place that could have hardened her very easily, and it did not. And I felt like her character was such a beautiful kind of metaphor for the world, right? Where we're living in a world where, sorry to get so deep, there's really serious stuff going on, and there's really scary things going on, and it is very easy to harden yourself as a protective mechanism to create a shell, create a barrier between yourself and the world, to harden yourself, to survive it. And Eden Abbott is an example of being strong, being able to withstand those extremely difficult and hard things while remaining gentle, soft, open. I don't know what more I could say. I say this every time I talk about a Kay Cove book, but it is important to me to reiterate. What makes Kay Cove such a stellar author is her ability to weave and plot incredibly intelligent storylines. This is not your average storyline. Her intelligence, her ability to dive into these companies that she builds, and the politics of it all is absolutely unmatched in my opinion and underappreciated. So her books are extremely hard to boil down to tropes because tropes are incapable of encompassing what she is creating. So, Kay Cove, cheers to you. I could not adore Eden Abbott more. I could not aspire to be more like someone. I love being gentle. I love that about myself. And I do not need to change because the world is harsh. Eden Abbott, Whistleblower, Kay Cove. Lainey Young, Bourbon and Lies by Victoria Wilder. Let's do a quick little Victoria Wilder pause. Nobody writes an FMC like Victoria Wilder does. I just don't think they do. It is such a skill, and she writes them really, really well balanced with their MMCs. I think it is easy to like an MMC more, and I don't know what that is. Is that like the internalized me versus you-ness of girlhood? Because that's a thing. We are taught that we are each other's competition. It stinks, but it's true. So I don't know if it's that or what, and also I think as a girl reading romance, it's very easy to like kind of almost replace the MMC with yourself and be like, well, this man loves me. Like, oh, and if this is just me and you're listening and being like, hey, Paige, what are you talking about? I will unpack this with a professional. I do hear the words coming out of my mouth, and if this is unrelatable and out of touch, I'm sorry, and I will check in on it. Okay, but I do think that's like a thing girls do. I think is like place themselves inside the stories with these dreamy men written by women. I'm drinking a dirty root beer, by the way. If you're watching and you're like, what is that? Let me live. I'm having fun. Anywho. So writing strong and unique FMC is something Victoria does consistently every single time. Every time. We're starting with Lainey Young, Bourbon and Lies by Victoria Wilder. What inspires me about Lainey is that she saves herself. And that's what the dedication of the book is. That is not a spoiler in my opinion. It is from the first page. You know you can save yourself. You do not need a knight in shining armor or a cowboy or, You don't need somebody. You can want somebody. But you deserve to be whole enough, to love yourself enough, to know yourself enough to save yourself and not wait on anybody else. It's a very, very important concept to me. I can do it myself. I am strong enough. I am capable enough to do it myself. I additionally love, she's very funny, very witty, in the vein of Willa Grant, which, don't worry, she's coming. Everybody pause. She's also a little less sharp. Sharp's the word I'm coming up with right now. So she's a little softer around the edges, but she does not take his crap. I'm keeping this podcast clean right now. We're keeping it clean. But she does not take his crap, or anyone's for that matter. She knows who she is, despite, mind you, being in the witness protection program and changing her identity. She knows who she is and does not sacrifice that, does not abandon that, and is proud of who she is as a person. What a gift and a skill to love yourself. Do you talk to your best friend the way you speak to yourself in your mind? Do you talk to your spouse, your children, the way you talk about yourself? I don't know. I'm just asking. You are the longest relationship of your lifetime. The only person that will be with you from the moment you're born to your very last breath. So what a waste to not get to know yourself, to not love yourself, to not find a way to even get along with yourself. The art of enjoying your own company, of learning to be proud of yourself. Because in today's society, it is not cool to be proud of yourself. It is not cool to love yourself. It is way more commercialized, I feel, to be embarrassed, to experience shame. Wow, we're down a rabbit hole. Sorry, but it's my podcast, so I'm going to talk about it. But it's cooler, especially for women, but men too, to dislike yourself. And these FMCs I'm talking about today, I truly believe at the end of the day, care about themselves, love themselves, and are proud of themselves. And that is such a gift. Becoming your own best friend, knowing yourself better than you know anyone else, it helps you show up best for the people in your life too. Because when you're 100%, when you love yourself 100%, back yourself 100%, you know what you need. You know what you have to offer others. Like, it's so important, guys. I'm learning it every day. I'm proud of me. Lainey is a really good example of that, in my opinion, especially under the circumstance of truly, literally changing her identity. She does not lose herself. Faye, Bourbon and Secrets from Victoria Wilder is also phenomenal if you have not read that one yet. But the next character I would really love to talk about, another Victoria Wilder, and I will continue on after that, is G from Hide and Peek. G is also in the witness protection. Those are the two books by Victoria that have witness protection tropes. I don't know, women in witness protection. And here's the story of this book. These two meet one night at a bar. She's bartending, he comes in. They hit it off. They kind of want to say fall in love that night. And they agree to meet up the next day. But when he leaves, when she gets home, she experiences an event that ultimately lands her in the witness protection program and disappears. He returns to New York year after year, month after month, week after week. He's a pilot, trying desperately to find her. He cannot. Years and years and years go by, and he is at his engagement party when his little sister walks in with her new friend she made in town, the new to town tattoo artist. She has a different hair color, but he recognizes her immediately. It's the woman he fell in love with all those years ago. Yeah, it's happening. And does he call off the wedding? Yes, he does. And what ultimately happens is they have to decide, do they want to be in each other's lives or do they not? Because if she wants to stay in town, she cannot form a relationship like this. And so they decide to essentially pretend to hate each other, because hating each other is easier than loving each other and not being able to be together. Well, things transpire. It doesn't shake out that way. It's a romance book. Come on. G is, again, a Willa Grant-esque character. I use her as a comparison tool because I think she is a very commonly adored FMC. So that's why I use her as a comparison tool. But she's spunky, she's fiery, she's witty, she's funny, she's a tattoo artist, and she holds her own. Our MMC is like kind of Cade-esque, where he's grumpy and kind of quieter and broody, former military. So yes, if you like that kind of character and you like suspense, you are missing out on not having read your favorite book. That's that. Like, this book is so good. So good. G's character, phenomenal. She'll stay with me for the rest of the time. Because I brought her up, let's discuss her. Willa Grant from Heartless by Elsie Silver. Willa is, I think, the blueprint for many women of a strong FMC. She's funny. She's witty. She can clap back. She's confident. I really do think that that's what people look up to about her in many ways, is her confidence. She knows who she is, and she unapologetically shows up exactly that way. Per my last email, when you know who you are, when at your core you're confident in the person that you have become, you can show up in the world like Willa Grant. And I will stand by that. I think all of these ladies unapologetically show up as themselves. Don't settle. Know their worth enough to not give away pieces of their worth in an effort to find love. I think we've all been there. And it's not a cute look. Sacrificing pieces of yourself just for someone to love you back? Sorry, this episode's a little serious, but it's important. I have a 98.4% female audience. Yep, you heard that right. And I think this message is important. I love my girls, though. Someone else who's very similar to Willa is Aoife Malloy. Redeeming and Saving Six by Chloe Walsh from Boys of Tommen, if you don't know who I'm talking about. Aoife Malloy. Let's talk about that in the vein of what we're talking about right now. Sacrificing yourself for the people you love and unapologetically loving them exactly as they are. Eva Malloy loved Joey Lynch exactly as he was, but she loved herself more. Do you hear me? Eva Malloy loved Joey Lynch, not even despite of. She loved him exactly as he was. But she knew she deserved better. Joey Lynch, who was a severe drug addict, a boy who was self-medicating due to the trauma that he experienced in his life. And she loved him exactly as she was. She understood him in a way that nobody did. She fought for his life when he couldn't fight for his own life. But at the end of the day, what is so important and inspiring about Eva is that she loved herself more. She knew her worth, her value, and what she deserved. And she knew, despite loving Joey Lynch, she deserved better than him. And encouraged him to fight to be a man that deserved her. And that makes this story so much more impactful to me. She never cowered. She never made herself smaller. And people were nasty to her, mind you. And she never once questioned who she was. Man, I love that girl. Callie, picture us, Molly Goins. What I love about Callie is her mentality. Her go-to phrase is, I can do hard things. I'm a cycling instructor, for those of you who don't know, random little side quest of mine. And I always say in class, you've done harder for longer. I know you have. And you have. You have done hard things and survived them. And that is what Callie's character reminds me of. Despite anxiety, self-doubt, and worry, you can do hard things. You are strong. You are capable. If you need a reminder of that, please, I'm begging you, read Picture Us by Molly Goins. Callie's internal monologue is so brilliant and is such a, I think it's such a true, raw, and real insight into girlhood and being inside a girl's mind. So I love that from her. I would be remiss if I did not speak about Aelin Ashriver Whitethorn Galathynius, heir of two mighty bloodlines, protector of a once glorious people, and the rightful queen of Terrasen, and she was not afraid. She was 18 years old. I know it is just a book, and I get that, but oh my gosh. Potential spoilers for the Throne of Glass series incoming. I don't really think I'm going to spoil the plot all that much, but who's to say? So I recommend skipping forward. To me, and this is not a unique thought, is that the thesis of Throne of Glass is how random acts of kindness can change the world. How the choice to be kind, the choice to do the right, the good thing can impact the trajectory of the world. And over and over and over again, Aelin chooses the kind thing, and the world gives her the middle finger. The world slaps her in the face back, and then she does the kind thing again, and the world slaps her in the face again. The amount of lives she spared when she had the opportunity to take them, the amount of people she offered grace, opportunity, patience when they did not deserve it or earn it, and the world kept asking more from her. I know it's just a book, but listen, the world demanded so much of her, and when it came down to it, put her life on the line, did not ask for her opinion, and took it to a vote in front of her. And she was always kind. She was not always nice. Nice and kind are not the same, but she was always kind. She always did the most right thing she could. This is where I take the moment, as I do in every episode. You can disagree with me. We do not have to have the same opinion, and we can still be friends. That is the beauty of Aelin Ashriver Galathynius. When the weight of the world was on her shoulders, not metaphorically, I am talking literally, she handled it with grace. It is a masterclass. And when you are knocked down, getting back up. Beth Carmichael, On Lover's Lane by Samantha Young. Beth and Molly give me really, really similar energy, but they could not be more different. Molly is this city Texas girl, and Beth is from Scotland. And she runs her own business, and she watched her parents fall in love, and she wants the same epic kind of love that we got to read, by the way, in a book called On Dublin Street. This is a second generation series. She got to experience that love through her parents, and she's looking for that for herself, but will not settle for less. Uh-oh, ladies, will not settle for less. Do you hear me? You do not have to sacrifice the things that are most important to you to get to experience love. You would not have been made as lovely and incredible and jaw-droppingly beautiful and kind and funny as you are if there wasn't someone out there for you. That would be silly, but you don't need them. Who are we talking about? Beth. And she does not want to settle for any love less than what her parents had. She wants epic love, and that is what I admire about Beth. It is not a bad thing to want that. It is not a bad thing to have high standards and fight for that. I think that's important, to not be with someone for the sake of being with someone or not being alone, which comes back to let's try to find a way to enjoy our own company, but being better off alone than with someone who doesn't treat you the way you deserve to be treated. Love that for Beth. She was also a really, really great character who experiences severe anxiety and panic attacks. And Samantha Young really beautifully depicted this character. I loved Beth. Beth and Callan, this is the only book that has top FMC and MMC on a list for me. So cheers, shout out to Samantha for writing On Lover's Lane. What a 5-star read. An FMC type that I respect but do not relate to very much is the Black Cat archetype. I'm sure you can tell if you have interacted with my content at all. I am very much so a sunshine type personality. And so I think the Black Cat character type is less relatable for me, but I do not dislike them by any means, and I enjoy reading them. I don't avoid them. I like Black Cat. Y'all know I love Golden Retriever, and oftentimes Golden Retriever and Black Cat go hand in hand. Now, why can't we have Sunshine books? Where are my Sunshine books? I have read forever. Taming Seven, Out with the Tide, Julia Olivia. There are a few others, but I love Sunshine. I'm in a sunshine relationship myself in my marriage. I think they're so fun. I know it doesn't foil as beautifully. I'm sure it is a little bit more complicated to write. So anyway, I want to loop back to Black Cat. So though I don't relate to them deeply, I do really, really enjoy them. I like reading them. But that's kind of why that character type isn't necessarily on the list today. Looking at my shelves to see if I missed anything, I'm thinking not. But yeah, this episode was a little bit more deep and up in the feels, and I hope that's okay. I like to balance my humor with a little bit more seriousness as best as I can, but I am always up for kind, did I mention kind, feedback? So if you want things to be less serious around here, holler, let me know. But yeah, I just think it's important, and there's nothing more beautiful and no other privilege, because it is a privilege, to see yourself in a book. To open a book, read a character, and relate to them so deeply that you feel seen, that you're not alone. That's a privilege. It really is. And I'm really, really grateful to see pieces of myself in these characters and to have characters to look up to and inspire me. And so the authors who write these characters and who remind us of women's strength, thank you. It is truly such a blessing, and the work that you're doing matters. It's making an impact on people's lives. You are writing stories that are changing people for the better. That is what I have to say on that. My camera's about to die, so this is perfect timing. So thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I will see you in the next one.